Welcome back to Time Freedom Daily. This is your spot for nuggets on business building, motivation, investing, crypto, time freedom, and everything in between. So we're excited to be back. Chris, how you doing today, brother?
I am excellent, as I try and be every day. How are you?
Oh man, I can't complain. No one's gonna listen anyway. But I'm good, man. I'm good. You
That is
know,
true.
we got a
That is
little
true.
red day in the market, but it's
We
all part of the
do.
process.
Grogu over there is holding his red sign. So yeah, it is red. Some days are gonna be red. It's just how it rolls. But don't sell today.
No, never sell the red. Always sell the green. But Chris,
Yep.
what's the topic we're gonna be hitting on today?
So you know what? It's awesome, and we'll get to it in a couple of minutes. But I had two conversations yesterday. Friend of mine got a raise yesterday. Um, and the percentage wasn't what I thought she should hear. And then I was talking to my mom and talking about having money in the bank and earning inflation, and she doesn't get the whole investing thing. And so you know what, like that really kind of made sense to me to start bringing that up to some people, and I think a lot of people can kind of learn from a couple of these ideas. And so we'll dive into that. But do you want to talk about the markets first? I know it's not an
Yeah,
amazing day to talk about the markets, but
let's
we'll
bring it
bring
up.
them up.
Absolutely. So market cap is down. Everything's pretty much in the red. There's a couple coins in the green, but market cap is down to 2.4. So we're down a couple hundred billion.
But look at
But
the volume.
yeah, volume is huge. You've got a lot of whale activity. A lot of things happening to where people are getting liquidated on their longs. This is again just kind of the whale games that they're playing when they see that the market's over leveraged. They'll
Hmm.
make them adjustments, and really this doesn't affect people that are just holding crypto because you don't win and you don't lose if you don't sell. So it's those that are in leverage trading, which is a whole nother application that I'm not necessarily an advocate for. I've never done it. I only hear horror stories. I mean, I've heard some wins. I know, Chris, you've had probably a few more wins than losses, but
Hmm.
it's not something that I feel comfortable with at this time. And there's people out there trying to get rich overnight, and they leverage themselves. You can do 100 times leverage. So basically, you can invest $100 and you can leverage it 100 times to $10,000,
Right.
and you're losing much quicker. So the tick or the reduction in value that it goes down only needs to be a fraction
Hmm.
of what you've invested for you to be completely liquidated and out of your trade. So that's what's happening. And there's people out there that are leveraging $1 million with 100x because they're banking on the fact that it's going to go up, and then the whales come in and they manipulate the markets, bring it down, and then it cascades into the Bitcoin, and then overflows into the price of the entire crypto market. So you got to be very, very careful, when you're doing that. So yeah, we're not giving you financial advice, but we're giving you some pretty strong opinions on what a lot of the sentiment is with leverage trading. It's very, very risky. Can you
Hmm.
win big? You absolutely can, but it's definitely very scary. But again, the market's down overall. So we've had a nice little correction there. S&P is down. It's very, very minimally. Nasdaq up
Hmm.
very, very minimally, and again, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down very, very minimally. Very, very little activity. Very flat, as we would call it. But we want to tackle, not only some of the issues with what's happening with inflation later on today, but also some solutions that we're going to have for you. And it's going to have to do with, investing and stuff like that, which is what today's topic usually is. Wednesdays is for investing. Again, Chris and I are not financial advisors, so please, this is not financial advice. These are just opinions based on things that we've learned, mistakes we've made, wins that we've had, and what we find that works. And as we always say, it's not about timing the market; it's about timing the market. So let's talk about what you had happen yesterday, and how that really impacts everyone, and not just the wealthy or whatever. Inflation and what we're dealing with, and how people perceive it, right? How they don't really understand what the cost of living is. And again, we're going to talk about some solutions and some ideas we have to overcome that, or at least try to stay ahead of it. So, Chris, tell me about what you ran into yesterday.
Well, so I got this text from a friend, yesterday morning, and it's just that this is yesterday morning. Guess who just got a 3% raise? And rightly so. They were excited, grateful. They got a raise.
Sure.
And John and I are entrepreneurs, and we've worked a long time towards our time freedom, but we will never hate on anybody with a job. There are a lot of people, my family included, that, they're really happy being employees. They're grateful. They love that life. They really, they need being told what time to be at work. Here's your list of duties. Here's where you did a great job. Here's where you need some improvement. I think most of the population is like that. So
Sure.
I certainly understand. And I kind of told my friend, I was like, hey, that's great. But like, I always want to open people's eyes. And so I started with the conversation yesterday. I was like, that's awesome. Of course, take it. But, I remember I used to be in the corporate world, and corporate America is very good at dangling a carrot in front of you and getting you to do more and more things beyond your job description, taking work home, outperforming your current level, which I always did. And that's probably why I did very well in corporate America. I always got promoted. And that's, that is certainly one thing. I've never just, I've never been one to do the minimum of my job description and stay there. So my friend does the same thing. She always outperforms, takes work home, works until 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes, goes to meetings, joins teams that she doesn't need to, and just recently, I guess maybe watching our videos has learned that there can be a little more to life. And so she brought it up to her boss, just saying like, listen, I think I want to scale back on all these extracurriculars, because she's not getting recognition for it. She's not getting paid for it. And it adds to the stress that is already on your life. And when we already have a bucket of stress, and you start putting on these optional meetings, and then, somebody asks you to work on this project or to build this system. A lot of us that want to, over succeed, or a lot of us that want growth will, we're of course going to say yes. And when you start adding more and more and more into that bucket of stress, something's going to pop. Your bucket's going to flow over. And, I think she's starting to get a little bit of that feeling. So when she went to the boss and said that, the boss says, you know what, I've been wanting to tell you something. Here's a 3% raise, which is high. For this company, that is high. And that's what she said. She's like, well, nobody else is getting 3%. So I said, well, that doesn't make it okay that they only gave you 3%, because you probably should have got at least a 10% raise.
Right.
But, the big point, once I told her, I said, and I'll bring up the other slide here. Hang on a second here. Let me get back to the screen. The cost of living.
Chris, can you repeat that? Yeah, you just froze for about 15 seconds. Go ahead and repeat that.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys can hear me. 3% raise when the consumer is going up almost 6% between this year and next year. You end up with less money to take home and to, buy dinner, put food on the table, pay for living. You have less money at the end of the day. And so your 3% raise that, her company is in the financial world. So her company is benefiting from this cost of living. When they're only giving out a 3% raise, but their revenues are going up a whole bunch, you can see how you are going backwards. And I had the same conversation with my mom later, because I was telling my mom about that conversation. My mom was like, well, we keep our money in the bank and we're earning about 1%. And so I said, same deal. I said, you have money sitting in the bank earning 1%, but cost of living is going up 5%. So next year, you are going to be able to buy and pay for less of life with the money that's sitting there in the bank. So your money in the bank is costing you money, even though the bank is giving you 1% per year. Does that make sense to you guys? Give us a like, give us a comment if this makes sense to you guys, or how you feel about it. I mean, I know some of the other YouTubers talk about it's almost a feeling of being robbed.
Right.
And, I mean, it sucks. I don't think anybody's robbing us, but it definitely sucks.
Right.
It's part of life, in
Sure.
in a certain way.
Can I interject, Chris?
Of course.
So a couple of things that you said that I wanted to tap into. One of the lessons Chris just taught you is in your 9-to-5 job, don't be that person that goes and asks for a raise and can't substantiate why they should get a raise. You're not going to get one.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you try to play hardball, next thing you know, you may lose your job. You may start to say, you know what, maybe the grass is greener over on the other side. And maybe it may be, but more times than not, it's not greener, right? Mm-hmm. It's greener where you water it. So make sure that you are doing maybe a little bit more or a lot more than what your job entails, because it will get noticed. So, your friend got a 3% raise, but I know for a fact this is an employee market. What does that mean? The employees have more power today than they've ever had in the history that I can remember in the job market, right? There's not enough workers to perform the jobs. So you are in control. And if you are writing your ticket the right way and you're doing what Chris said and working harder and doing more than what you're paid for, you have a bargaining chip, right? Your friend got 3%, but you need to go in there and you need to let them know and have a concrete plan of what your value is, right? 3% is nothing. What is it, depending on your hourly rate, 30 cents, maybe 20 cents, 40 cents. It all depends on what you're getting paid. Go in there and ask to see if there's any opportunities for bonuses, right? Can I do this project and can it be a one-off bonus of X? Set your value, right? That way that person, that your boss doesn't have to bring in another employee that they've got to pay benefits for, taxes, all that good stuff. You can set, you know what, I'll do that project, which may take me 2 months, give me $1,000. Or, set something realistically and let them know why you're doing this, because you are now adding value to the company, right? They don't have to bring in somebody for $15 an hour as an annual salary of $20-some thousand a year to complete this project, maybe a couple other ones. You can do them on a one-off price for a couple $1,000s a year. Let them know, set the plan, and let them know that's what you want to do. And you're saving them money by you getting paid a little bit more that helps you out. So make sure you're doing that. And Chris, this inflation numbers that we're seeing on the media and on the internet are nowhere close. Nowhere close. They're saying, oh, we're looking at a 6 or 7% inflation. No freaking way. The inflation rate is probably closer to 15 or 20% right now. A gallon of milk last year was $2.50. It's like $3.50 now. That's not 6%. Right. I don't know what math they're using. Right.
Well, so that's this chart that I just brought up here. So this is the consumer price index, which is a little different than what the government is telling you is what the inflation rate is. Your consumer price index basically takes the cost of a bunch of stuff divided by what it cost about 100 years ago. Which is, they're setting that as the benchmark price for goods. That includes, I actually brought up a slide of what it is so you guys can see it. Here is what the consumer price index is made up of: housing, apparel, transportation, education, what is called cost now, communication, recreation. How much does it cost to go on vacation? How much is a flight? How much is a cruise? Of course, how easy you can how it's kind of gone. And I drew this line on the graph just so you guys can see it here. I'll kind of bring it down. And so that is like a fairly normal line of what inflation can be. And you can kind of see how it's really deviated from the line here, starting right after January 2020. January 2020, February 2020 was, the event happened. There was a big drop in the market, and price of goods really fell. And since then, it has gone on this trajectory, really deviating from the line. And so you can really kind of see, this is, really, in America and in Canada, we live a great life. And, it's hard to complain here. And that's why a lot of people don't really notice a lot of the cost of stuff going up. We haven't had to deal with what Venezuela has gone through, or a lot of the countries in Africa have gone through, where inflation is 100% or 200% or 500%.
Right.
In America, when we're seeing inflation of 6%, that moves markets, that affects things.
Let me just, that gas is another story. I mean, last year was $2.20, and right now I'm filling up for $3.29. That is not 6%. So, what we're seeing here is what the media is giving us, and I'm not even sure how accurate that chart is. I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. I don't believe it. I had a flight to go to Mexico what was it? It was last January, and it was right before all the restrictions happened. Okay. And I had that flight. It was on JetBlue. That flight round trip was it was $400 round trip for my wife and I. We went back and we just went to Mexico. We had to rebook that flight. Same flight number, same time, same everything. That flight for the two of us was now $1,400 round trip.
Right. Well, there's also a bit of a difference in supply and demand right now. Everybody wants to go everywhere.
But that's my point. That's my point, though. They're not taking into account a lot of those things that they're trying to spit out a number that is just not true. It really is just not true. Everything is more expensive, and it's way out of there. And not to get off topic here, but I'm on fire about it because the media, the government, they're lying to us, and it's just I don't know. It hit a hot button with me, and this whole thing is a hot button for me. And people not getting paid what they're due. But there are some companies out there that are doing the right thing. I've got a friend of mine who works for another Fortune 500 company, and he's got a higher position, vice president, something like that, director or something. And they gave him a very, very nice retention bonus, they called it. He had to sign a 2-year employment contract that he wouldn't leave for 2 years, and he got a one-off bonus for that. And it was substantial, and there are some companies that are valuing their good employees more than a 3% raise, and actually giving spot bonuses to say, hey, look, stay. And there's companies out there that are giving bonuses to get employed, to come to work. Yep. I've seen some fast food chains that are giving $500 or $1,000 to come on and sign on as an employee. So absolutely. I mean, that's what, good employers should do, and I'll say this, and I, as a business owner, Chris, I'm sure you're the same way. There's always a saying that the customer's always right. Yeah. And I'm not sure if that's correct. It could be correct in some sense of the word. But if you treat your employees better than you treat anybody else, your employees will always treat your customers the right way. So if you got unhappy employees, you have unhappy customers. Right. Happy employees, happy customers. How do you grow your business? By making sure that your employees and your customers are happy. You got those two working together and they're happy, you're going to see growth in your business. So not to derail you, Chris, but go back on to what you were talking about next.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. And, that was, I got one other thing to show you guys. Like I was just looking around. This was on CNBC this morning. Social Security cost of living adjustment could be at least 6% into 2022. So that's exactly what we're talking about. And that's really why, for some people, that is a real eye opener. And my mom included, thinking your money's sitting there, you're making 1% a year, everything's great, the grass is green. 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% 6% but no, you're falling behind every year, and that's why we kind of wanted to. That's not news to a lot of people. It is news to some people, but it's important for you guys that didn't look at it that way to look at it that way, because it's a fact of life. It's not going to change anytime soon, but we have some strategies to at least stay with that and hopefully beat inflation. So your money, instead of sitting in the bank getting 1% and cost of living's up 5 or 6%, maybe do a little better. What do you think, John?
Sure. Absolutely. So I'm going to go over some five tips that I do, and you guys can do, the viewers, whether you're employed, self-employed, whatever it may be. But you have to understand that you have to earn more than the inflation risk, and that is what we just talked about earlier. And we're going to hammer it home right now. Do more than what you're paid for. And I know a lot of people have a problem with that. Oh, it's not my job description. If
I'll do
that
that
is
once I
your,
get the raise.
if that is your frame of mind, I don't know if Chris and I can help you. I don't know if anybody can help you. If you don't want to help yourself first, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing, any piece of advice out there. If you want to sit there and have resentment in your heart and just be like, I don't want to do anything for my boss.
I'll do that once I get the raise.
Then that's a whole nother story. But if you really want to get ahead, you really do want to grow within your company, or just have more options because you've got more money coming in, and you're outperforming the inflation, then you got to do more, and you got to put it in concrete text to your bosses and let them know why you're worth more than what you're getting paid. Yep. And then that same tip about, doing projects on a one-off basis and saying, you're not going to have to hire somebody. I know you're looking for somebody else to do these projects. I can do them. Just pay me. I won't, I'll do it in my spare time or whatever. It won't be overtime. It'll be part of my salary. Just, get that signed. Once that project's complete, you get paid. And I'm sure they're going to be happy for that, as long as you show them that it's going to save them money in the long term, right? So earn more than the inflation rate. Number one, okay? This is going to be a little uncomfortable for many people, but sometimes you got to assume more risk. Yep. You got to take the risks. You got to put yourself out there, whether it's starting a side hustle, whether it's earning something when you're not working from your 9 to 5, whether it's learning how to invest. Because I know that, Chris, in your conversation with your mom, she didn't really understand the stock market and how it all worked, and thinking that the money in the bank is the safest bet for her. Just so you know, if she would have invested into a S&P 500 fund over the last year, I'm in IVV, which is just a kind of like the SPY or the S&P 500, is up 99% this year. That's 98% more than what your mom earned there. Let's not even talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin last year at this very moment was just over $10,000. It is now hovering around $58,000 to $62,000, and we're probably going to see more. A lot of people say, well, let's go into precious metals. Well, you got to be careful there. Gold in the last year is down 7%. So if they would have invested in gold, they would have lost 8%, because they would have lost that 1% that they gained from the bank, and the 7% that the gold index lost. So you got to be very, very careful in the advice of what you're listening to and what you're doing. You got to look for what is the market telling you it's going to be doing, right? You got to understand, we say it all the time, if there's blood in the streets, sometimes that's a time to buy, right? So when the market dips, like today, this might be a good day to buy. When it dipped right after the event happened last year, it's funny. Everybody was panicking, and I'm sitting there like, I don't understand why everything's dropping. I understand everybody's scared, but the companies that are losing value are not losing value for a real reason. They're losing money because everybody's scared. So I went in, I literally just did a Google search. I typed in the top 20 companies that are been affected most by the event. And I'm like, oh, that's a great company. Well, that's a great company. Well, that's a great company. And I put money in those. And my portfolio, not financial advice, my portfolio was up over 150% this year because I wasn't scared. I knew that everything would go back up. The economy always grows. It's not like we're having aliens invade us and they're taking over our world. That's not happening. So it's going to recover, and it did, just like 2008. If you would have invested after the 2008 crash and put your money in right after that, you'd be up like 2,000%.
Yep.
And there's people that have still not reinvested their money, or they're reinvesting now at the top or close to the top. That's something you got to be careful with as well. When you start hearing about it all the time, be careful when you're investing. Try not to invest when something is going up dramatically. Try to get in when it's a pullback. So start taking risks, whether that's starting a side hustle, investing, learn, tap into the resources here. Chris and I are going to give you information every single day. Tap into that, tap into other resources. Go and do your own due diligence and your research, and you're going to find out that we're not all crazy. Investing's not crazy. So another thing to do, number 3, start saving and doing these investing early. Don't wait till you're 60. Do it earlier, right? So you can get that money working for you. So we had mentioned before in one of our previous videos that the stock market over the last 100 years, on average, has gone up about 10% per year. Well, that's going to outperform inflation.
Right.
It may not outperform hyperinflation when we have these type of segments in our lifespan, but normally inflation's 3%, 4%, maybe 2%. So if you're getting 6% plus, you're outperforming, right? That's what we need to do. We need to outperform inflation. So start early, right? One of these options that you could also look at is start looking at inflation funds. There's actually funds that are traded on the stock market that encompass bonds and stuff like that. And you just search for what are the best inflation hedge funds, and they'll spit out 4 or 5 of them. This one that I'm looking at right now is called the American Funds Inflation Linked Bond Fund. Okay, so the ticker symbol is BFIFX. Okay, and over the last 5 years, it's up 5%. So it's still above the inflation rate previously. Over the last 3 years, it's up 7%. And this year, bonds have been taking a hit, right? It's up 4%. So we're still better than the 1% we're getting from our banks, or the 0% or less, or the negative effect of just holding cash. So, and we're not even talking about crypto or any of the other anti-inflationary coins that are out there that we really believe in. So that's a whole nother topic. And the last one, which sounds silly, but it's common sense: consume less, do less, live a softer lifestyle, right? Don't go out to dinner 5 times a week. Go buy food and make it, right? Meal prep. Make pots of chili or spaghetti sauce and eat it 2 or 3 times a week, and then switch it to something else like crock pot. I'll put chicken in there, a can of salsa, and I'll have like tacos, or I'll make it over top of salad. Do that, spend less, make in bulk, plan out your meals so that you're not eating out all the time, right? If you're not eating out all the time, you're not driving all the time. So you're consuming less gasoline, right? Instead of 3 trips a year with the family, do 1 trip. If it's in your means, it's in your means. Do what you need to do. But I'm saying if you're looking at trying to consume less, to save more, to invest more, to get ahead of this, you got to make some hard choices. So those are 5 tips that I would definitely recommend. And obviously, on the job front, make sure that you are showing your worth and you're not afraid to talk to your management or your boss to tell them what you're worth, because they're not always just going to go out there and say, Chris, you're the best, I'm going to give you a raise. What they're doing is they're in their office like, oh God, I hope Chris doesn't come in here and tell me he's going to leave.
Probably not just feeling like giving out money.
Right? Oh, if Chris comes in, I'm going to have to give him a raise because I can't lose him. There's a lot of bosses out there, especially if you're doing your job the right way, that are thinking like that. They're not going to be out there, I'm going to give you an extra $5,000 a year because I love you. They're begging and praying that you don't come in because they know that they're going to have to give you that raise because you, 1, deserve it, and 2, they don't want to lose you because they know trying to get you to replace with somebody, they're going to have to train. They're going to have to. The next thing you know, they're going through 5 candidates to get you that they could have just gave you the money in the first place. So make sure you're showing your boss your worth.
That's it. Those were good tips, John.
Absolutely.
I, I,
Anything else
typed,
you want to end on?
I typed up that fund in the chat box so you guys can see it.
Awesome.
And yeah, definitely
Guys,
check that
please
out.
remember to like and subscribe, share this video. We're going to post it on our socials. Please share it on your socials. It may not be for you, but it could be for somebody else. Definitely help the channel. We're definitely, our goal is to get 100 subscribers here. Hopefully by November, we're pushing for it. And, please like and watch the videos. It helps us.
Yeah, for sure. And tell us what you think. Even if you disagree, I'd love to hear it. If you agree, I'd love to hear
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, tell us how you feel. And we will see you guys tomorrow with another. Now Friday's our interview day, so we already have a cool interview set up for Friday, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Make
Take
today
care, guys.
amazing.
Absolutely.